Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menasce. Today we're talking about a challenge that extends far beyond higher education. And it's a problem that affects shopping malls, office parks, resorts, industrial facilities, and even entire master plan developments. It's what happens when a property becomes disproportionate to the economy that surrounds it. A recent story out of Vermont highlights the issue perfectly. It's been local news in Vermont for the past 6 years, and this weekend it was highlighted in the Wall Street Journal. Wesleyan College closed its doors in 2019. The campus consisted of roughly 115 acres and 16 major buildings in the small town of Poultney, Vermont. A buyer acquired the campus at a steep discount with plans to transform it into a resort, a distillery, a hotel, and a residential development. The vision sounded compelling. The problem wasn't the buildings. The problem wasn't even the business plan. The problem was the location. 6 years later, much of the campus remains empty. The redevelopment plans have been abandoned, and the owner is attempting to give away the property for free to any new steward willing to take on the maintenance burden. The lesson's an important one for real estate investors. Real estate value is not determined by the asset itself. It's determined by the relationship between the asset and the surrounding economy. Think about what a college represents. It's essentially a small city. It contains housing, classrooms, recreation facilities, roads, utilities, dining services, maintenance infrastructure, often healthcare and athletic facilities. When operating as a college, these costs are supported by thousands of students, by faculty members, visitors, grants, donors, and government funding. Once the institution closes, the economic engine disappears overnight, but the infrastructure remains. Let's look at a few other examples. There's Iowa Wesleyan College closed its doors in 2023 after more than 180 years in operation. The campus sits in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, a town of roughly 9,000 residents. A campus designed for hundreds of students becomes a redevelopment challenge. The question became simple. What local demand exists for dozens of institutional buildings in a market that's not large enough to absorb them? A similar story unfolded at Alderson-Broaddus University in West Virginia. The university closed abruptly, leaving behind dormitories, academic buildings, sports facilities, and maintenance infrastructure. The surrounding community simply didn't have enough economic activity to immediately repurpose a campus of that size. Finlandia University in Michigan is another example. Located in the Upper Peninsula, the university served a niche student population for decades. Once enrollment declined beyond a critical threshold, the economics stopped working. The buildings remained useful, but the market did not. This concept extends far beyond colleges. Many investors have encountered former manufacturing plants in small towns. During their peak years, those facilities employed thousands of workers and generated enormous economic activity. But once a factory closes, investors often see a 1 million square foot building available at pennies on the dollar. The temptation's obvious. The reality is much, much harder. If the local labor force is shrinking, transportation links are limited, and the regional economic growth is stagnant, the replacement tenant might never arrive. The same principles apply to dying shopping malls. A 2 million square foot mall might have a replacement value of $100 million. But if the trade area only supports a fraction of that retail activity, the property becomes overbuilt relative to the market. That's what economists call functional obsolescence. The asset may be physically sound but economically misaligned. One of the most dangerous mistakes investors make is confusing replacement cost with market value. A campus that costs $200 million to build is not worth $200 million. A factory that cost $500 million to build is not worth $500 million, and a shopping center that cost $100 million to develop is not worth $100 million. It's the market that determines the value. When evaluating distressed properties, investors need to ask a simple question. What economic activity exists today that can realistically support the asset? Not 5 years from now, and not after a miracle, not after government subsidies, but today. If a town of 3,000 people is struggling to support its existing businesses, can it realistically absorb a campus designed for thousands of students? If a rural county is losing population, can it support a massive mixed-use development? If the answer is no, then the property might be cheap for a reason. Some of these campuses will find a new life. A few might become residential communities. Others could become healthcare facilities, boarding schools, retirement campuses, maybe data centers or religious institutions, but many will remain partially vacant because the scale exceeds the economic capacity of the local market. As investors, our job is to understand not only the property but the ecosystem that supports it. The biggest risk is not the building itself. The biggest risk is assuming demand exists where it doesn't. The Green Mountain College story is a reminder that successful real estate investing is not about buying assets. It's about buying demand. And when demand disappears, even beautiful properties can become liabilities. As you think about that, have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.